Hello and welcome all. I think the most overwhelming part of being a parent is about taking life decisions for your children, and education being one of the most important one. And with the whole dynamics and world changing every year, every month, every week, there's something new coming up that is supposed to make your child smarter, more confident, more future ready. And while there are so many options available, as a parent, I sit and wonder, what is it that actually adds any value to my child's future or to their present? What is it that actually, is worth their time? And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's thinking on these lines. As a parent, you're constantly questioning your choices, the exposure you are giving it to them. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with someone who spends a lot of time with kids and how they learn and how they evolve and how they grow. I am Disha, and today joining me, Mr. Vikram, the director of one of the most renowned schools of Coimbatore, CS Academy. He has spent significant years of his life in understanding kids, in understanding how they thrive, what kind of environment works for them, what are the things that really matters, what are the non-negotiables. And I'm seeking his perspective on understanding that as a parent, how do we take decisions which are not just informed, but are well thought through. So welcoming you, Mr. Vikram. Thank you for joining me on this chat today.
Thank you, Disha. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and today I should put this out that I am not just sitting as a podcast host. I'm a mother of two, and I'm constantly judging my decisions and evaluating if I'm doing it right or not. So I'm hoping by the end of this conversation, me and so many other parents like me have a better framework and some guideline to take these decisions better. So I think let me just come to the very basics to start with. There's a term that's been going around everywhere. You read anything about education, there's a term that pops up, holistic development. Every parent wants it for their children because it instinctively feels extremely valuable. But I'm not sure if I ask 10 different parents about what holistic development is, I'm not sure if I'm going to get the same answers. Can you help us understand what is holistic development and why it has become such a central part of any and every communication around education?
Sure. It's not only for parents. Even if you ask people who run schools, every school owner will say that our school provides holistic education.
That's
Who
true.
doesn't want to? Because holistic addresses the whole human being, right? That's why it's called holistic. And as a parent, when you're starting off with your children, you're looking after the physical needs when they're born, and then emotional needs along with that,
Right.
and grow up a little bit more, and then you want to give them some friends, social needs, and then at some point you think, oh, they should learn something, and then you have to look after the educational needs, skills, etc., and then values along the way, and then maybe later on in life you're also thinking about spiritual stuff. So if you put all of these things together, you as a parent are already thinking holistically, and every parent thinks holistically. And from a school's perspective, even though many schools say holistic, when we moved back to India from, we lived in London for many years, and we moved back here, and the ethos of setting up the school, and we also said, oh, you know what, we should give holistic education. And then we looked around and everybody's doing that.
Everybody was talking about it, yes.
And therefore, the answer is not holistic, but what does holistic translate to from a practical perspective? So we called ourselves the practical educationists.
Practical education.
Yeah, and that came from a background in medicine. So I qualified as a surgeon. My wife's a doctor as well. She's a psychiatrist, dealt with lots of kids, family therapy, etc. And in medicine, we have a term. It's called EBM.
Okay.
EBM stands for evidence-based medicine.
Evidence-based
Which
medicine.
means you can't go and do stuff in medicine without there being some substantiating proof that that works.
Okay.
And when we moved into education and we're looking at what schools do, schools are the very opposite of that. When we came in, it was, we called it opinion-based feelings.
Opinion-based
right?
feelings.
Right,
Okay.
that's it.
Opposite to...
opinion-based education, right? And we heard people say, oh, the Montessori method is the best, or the Playway method is the best.
Yes.
Or something else, right?
Yeah.
This philosophy is the best. And we would always ask that, why do you say that? What proof do you have that that is the best? Show me the research. And amazingly, you'll find none exists.
No, yes,
right?
it's just one word goes and it spreads and everybody's suddenly talking about it.
Exactly. So then we said, okay, you know what? When we do this school, of course, holistic education is what we want to do, and we're going to translate that into something which everyone can understand. I mean, we need to understand it, and our staff need to understand it, and our parents need to understand it.
Right.
And we said three things broadly will fall under this, right? First, every child should like coming to school. Right? They should be happy.
That's most important.
Right?
Otherwise, as a parent, we know how difficult it is to send them out of the house every morning.
We don't want them to wake up in the morning and say, oh, I don't want to go to school.
Yes.
So we want them to come to school happily. So we need to create an environment which does that, an environment of trust, emotional stability, they have fun, all of that. And then we said, no, what? That's one part of it. But then they also should learn some substantial things. So when we started the school, we said we wanted kids of course, like coming to school.
Yeah.
And the second aspect was build three things.
Okay.
Skills, values, and good habits. Right? The habits that would sustain them, which would serve them well throughout life. It's not just for coming to school and doing some stuff in school.
Right.
So that was the second leg to that. And the third thing we said we would like to achieve is when kids finish school, they go to a destination of their choice. Now that destination may vary from kid to kid, and for many students in India, it's getting into a great university.
Right.
Or what we say from our perspective, the ideal fit university. So a school should provide that as well. And if you can put all of these three things together, then as a school operator, we would say that that is holistic education.
That is
right?
holistic education.
That we are providing that. So therefore, from a parent's perspective, I think you can draw a direct translation, right? So from a parent's perspective, you want to support your kid to achieve all of these three things as well.
Right.
And if I may take a different view, which is what is not holistic. It's easier to look at it from that way.
What is not holistic?
What is not holistic?
Yes.
And because the opposite is holistic, right?
Yes.
So what is not holistic is, and this first one I'm going to say everyone agrees with, right? Which is, an education that's only focused on marks and grades is not holistic.
Yes.
Or that
is
school
not
is
holistic,
a marks factory.
Yes.
But then if you tell me, look, this school, kids love going to school, it's a happy school, but they don't cater to the other aspect. They're not preparing your child for life. They're not teaching them the skills that matter. They're not preparing your kids to get into the destination of their choice. Then that's not holistic either, just because they're happy going to school.
Right.
Or third thing, I'm teaching them skills and values. However, they're unhappy going to school, or they don't end up getting to the destination of choice. And I see that happening in so many different aspects of education.
Right.
That's not holistic either. So, and the challenge is for us as educators is, how do you strike a balance? Because it's always a balance.
Right.
And sometimes you have to do things which the children may not like all the time, but it is necessary for them to build those skills and those habits.
Yes.
And putting those together, for me,
that
is what I would say is holistic education.
That's how beautifully put. So, we are talking about these three core values, and I think it's a very, very nice way that you have explained it, that kids should be happy, firstly, and second, the values that you're talking about, which will not just help them in their present, but also when they grow up and are actually facing the life. And I see the value system that you're talking about, whether it's good habits, because it's so, my kids are in your school, you're aware, and I see that how right from grade 1 they are writing book reviews. I mean, these kids can barely write, but then you're asking them to think what was the favorite character in the book, or you promoting that they should all get 10 hours of sleep. So I see how beautifully it's not just that you're talking here on the camera, but as a parent I see from the other side of the table that this is what school believes in. So I think it's a very nice understanding of holistic development, and it is not, I think, as a parent or a lot of other parents think, because our understanding so far, I don't know if the society or the schools or the content that we consume, holistic development so far we have been thinking it is something like you expose your kids to everything and anything. You talk about the sports or public speaking, coding, robotics, whatever, any new fad is coming, you put your child, you expose them to things. That is the kind of understanding I think most of we parents have about holistic education, but it is way beyond is what you're explaining, and I think that helps me understand. But it brings me back to, like you're saying, that there are so many things that kids are not enjoying. Of course, kids should enjoy is one of your core belief, But also at the same time, there are some activities they might need a bit of nudge, and you have
Yes.
to. So I'll give you an example from my own life. My daughter is 8.5, and it's been 3 years she's learning Bharatnatyam. Every 3 months we have a discussion wherein she says, I don't want to continue. As a parent, I see that she has the rhythm in her body. She has the understanding of music and beat. She has beautiful expressions. But she doesn't want to do it because it's so slow paced for her. She loves to dance, but then she looks for her fast paced music. So this is too rigorous for her. But as a parent, I have put my foot down that until you are 10, I want you to pursue this because I feel that you can do well, and don't take it just as a skill. I feel it's also a good workout. It's a good strength training for your legs. Okay.
Yes.
But again, as a parent, I don't know, like this is something that I have identified. There are so many proteges, kids who know right from the beginning, prodigies, that what works for them. So many kids are just kids. They don't know what their inclination is toward. So as a parent, how do you decide? How do you decide that what needs to be brought into their time? That if they're giving weekly 3 hours or 4 hours to it, how do you make that framework? How do you find out that what is worth their time? If you can give us some insights on that.
Sure. I think the point that you mentioned where parents want to give the opportunity for the children to do lots of activities, I think is very good. I read this book called it's a book called Range. R-A-N-G-E, Range, by this author David Epstein.
Okay.
And he writes about why doing multiple things early in life stands not just students but even adults in good stead when you move on to doing things later on. There are things that you learn from any activity that you pursue that you can include in your life at some point, and having range is very important, right? But at the same time, I guess you're making the point that, well, we're trying so many things and parents are stressed,
right?
And the kids are stressed. The kids don't want to do certain things, and I understand that. And I think we need to take a step back and think about why are we doing this, right? Why are we putting a kid in a certain activity like Bharatanatyam or the violin or playing football or tennis or whatever it might be, because different kids do different things.
Right.
And I think the answer is, going back to what I said earlier, we want our children to learn a set of skills, values and habits. And they don't learn that through sitting in a classroom.
Right.
They learn that through doing things. And the outcome of, for example, your daughter learning Bharatanatyam, or my daughters, I did the same thing with tennis. I would make my daughter go play tennis and wake her up in the morning, and tennis came easily to her as well, and I would take her. But then we would again have these, every 6 months we would say, why should I get up in the morning and go play? So we used to have these discussions. But then if you take a step back and think about why we're doing this, right? And my answer is this, we want our children to learn a set of things.
Right.
For example, consistency is number one. You take on something that you want to do, you have to do that consistently.
True.
Right? Consistency is a key value, right? So you want to do that. If they're playing in a team, you want them to learn teamwork. You want them to learn empathy, what other people feel. You want them to learn if they don't do certain things, and let's say they reach a level where they can compete, and they're not yet at a level that they expect. I don't want to call it failure, but let's say in sport they go and they lose in the first round, which happened to my daughter, right?
Yeah, okay.
What do they learn from that, right? What do they learn from that setback? You can call it a setback. And how do they get back on their feet and go to train the next day?
Right.
I think that's the most important learning from all the activities that we are putting our kids through. Are they learning consistency, teamwork, empathy? Are they learning how to fail? Are they learning how to get back on their feet and go to practice again? Because that's life. And if you don't go through that process, you're never going to learn anything new. And you're never going to get better at what it is that you're doing. And this example of one of my close friends here comes to mind. I was visiting his house, and he took me to his daughter's bedroom, and he had drawn this stair. And each stair he had put a label to it.
Okay.
And the first one said, "Have not tried." And the second step was trying. Third step was, "I'm bad." Fourth step was, "I'm getting better." Fifth step, "I'm good." And sixth step, "I'm great." All right.
Wow.
So I was just looking at it, and I said, "What is this and why is it here?" And he said, "No, I just put it up because he has 2 daughters again in our school, and he just moved back from the US. And he lived in New York. He just come back, and he told me that I just wanted my daughters to, and he wanted his daughters to play the musical instruments, this, that. And he said very often kids they try something, they find that they're not good at it, and they stop. Right? They don't want to go further. And he said, look, I've just put this as a ladder, saying this is the natural process. And I asked the question, of course, did it work? And he said, yeah, it worked beautifully. He said, and apparently his daughter said, one day she came and said, oh, I'm what stage am I at, Papa?
Wow.
Am I bad? Am I now bad? So he's like, yeah, you're bad. She's
Okay,
like,
so
yeah.
repeat the steps for me,
Because
please.
from not tried, trying,
Not
then the
tried,
third
trying.
step is bad. Yeah, and then you say, I'm getting better.
Wow.
So you say, am I bad? So we had a good laugh. So it
But it's
does
so
work. So when you
beautiful.
frame it like that, saying this is the process.
Everybody goes
which
through this.
Everyone goes through this
Yes.
process, right? So, and what happens is that sometimes through the process of learning, children sometimes give up, saying, you know what, I'm bad, I'm looking around, and all others seem to be better than me. I don't want to do this because I don't want to feel bad. But if you frame it in a way saying that this is the ladder to getting to great, then it resets their mind. And therefore, I guess the question, I'm trying to answer the question.
No, but I think this is something that I am certainly going to use with my kids, because they would know that's how everybody evolves.
Exactly.
This is a process everybody goes through. Not
Yes.
everybody you see, they might be doing good today, but they've already gone through these steps last year or a few months back. So you are going through them and you're eventually going to get there.
Exactly. So the question to ask, I guess, ourselves when our kids are doing these activities is, are they learning the set of things that we want them to learn from an outcome perspective? If your daughter, through the process of Bharatanatyam, is learning routine, is learning to manage her time, is learning consistency, hard work, then that's the outcome. And as long as she's learning that, and you can stick to it. But having said that, after a certain number of years, with my daughter, for example, with tennis, she got to the stage where she won the inter-school tournaments, and then I said, okay, let's do this. There's this professional circuit, you get a number, and you have to play. And then I was taking her to that, and then it got to a point where she said, I really don't want to do this, because now I have to give up school, half a day I have to miss, I have to go here. And then we as a family sat together and said, look, when we are choosing things to do, there are always trade-offs. When you choose to do something, you have to let go of something. Not doing something else.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And I think she was in grade 8 at that point, and we said, look, moving from grade 8 into grade 9, academic rigor is going to increase.
Yes.
And if we really want to go down this tennis path, this is going to involve X amount of training, Y amount of traveling.
Right.
Also, me or Sitara as a family might have to go with her.
Yes.
And we all sat together and said, do we all want to do this? And the answer was no. And we said, okay, fine. We pushed it so far. She's learned what she has to learn.
Yeah.
And she learned to be physically fit, train, etc., etc. So many things that she learned through the process, and that's good enough. And if you want to stop here, and then she stopped.
How
at that
nice.
point.
So even though she's not going to play tennis as often as she used to, but I think the whole discipline is always going to stay with her, of
Absolutely.
staying active, of...
Totally.
Yes.
Even now, she has to do some physical activity every day.
Yeah.
Because
she has trained her body like that.
Exactly, because that's what she has trained herself. It's a habit.
It's a
and
habit.
The beautiful thing about habit is it removes friction.
Yes.
You don't have to get up and say, oh, do I want to do this? Because a habit is, you just do it. And that's what a habit is, right?
So I understand. See, of course, it has to add some sort of value to your life. Either you're gaining a new skill, or you're becoming more disciplined. But again, coming back to what I was particularly asking, with so many options, like, even from the school's perspective, there'll be spell bee, there'll be tennis, there'll be sports, there'll be public speaking, there'll be robotics, there'll be now AI coming in. How, as a parent, I decide what works and what doesn't for my child?
So the reason why we have so many activities is mainly because we know that all kids will not be interested in everything. But the activity is not the important thing. The child doing one or two activities is what is important. They all don't have to do everything. Nobody expects that.
Right.
But in the activity that the child chooses to do and the parents choose to do, we and the parents motivate the child, like how you're doing, and encourage the child to go to a level of depth. Because only at that level of depth you actually start learning. it's not a question of, I enroll my kid in 5 activities.
Of
They've
course.
done coding, they've done music, they've done this, they've done that. At a superficial level, in which case you learn nothing. Right? You just tick some boxes, that's it. It's far more important for you to pick maybe 2 or 3 at most, and just focus on diving a little deeper into that. And give it a sufficient amount of time, let's say at least a year. And at the end of the year, if you say, look, let's reevaluate, do you really like this? Especially when they're very young, you can change the activity from 1 year to the next. So by the time they come to middle school, they also know, and you also know, these are things that they seem to be genuinely interested in. And it's so much easier to do all of these things if you're interested in it, isn't it? Even this podcast, you're interested in it, you're happy to do so. And it's good to find those areas of interest, because then that enables a kid and the parent, everything becomes smoother. And they can go deeper. And when they go deeper, they will learn all these amazing things that we want them to learn.
Right. So you see as a parent that what you think will work as per their interest, and then you expose them to those 2-3 things that you think that they will do good at. And
and encourage them to go to a level of depth and consistency, because that's the most important thing. It's not about, okay, I'm going to send my kid to music class once in 2 weeks.
It's not a checkbox that you're ticking.
Right? I mean, they're going to learn nothing. Or even once a week, and then between those 2 classes, the kid does not even touch the musical instrument. I mean, what's the point of that?
What's the point?
They're just making you happy, thinking that, okay, you know what, I'm putting my daughter into music. But they're learning nothing. Unless you follow that up and the daughter follows that up with, I went to music class on Monday, I'm going to train on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and again I'll have a class on Saturday. So unless you have that routine and they are doing that, there's no point doing it. And you rather pick 2 activities where they're doing all of that, rather than 5 they're doing nothing.
So I'm seeking your validation. I'm not doing anything for Bharatanatyam wrong, right?
I don't think so.
I'm on the right path.
I think you're being a good, encouraging parent.
Thank you. Okay, so now, see, I understand now, you have made me understand about the different, I see my child's interest, I see what are the best different activities that I can enroll them in. As a mother, I'm only thinking for 2 children, right? You as an educator, where thousands of kids are coming to your institution and, their future is being built here, literally, how do you decide what comes and consumes their time? Because I'm sure sitting on that side of the table, every day you're meeting n number of people proposing this could be done, this could be done. There's so many people coming up with all the new ideas brewing everywhere. And as an educator, as somebody who's, who started this school with such a beautiful vision, and of course we are all seeing the results of it with the kind of alumni network you have and the kind of placements you get, the results you get, all of it, talks for itself. So what goes behind this? That do you have like a guiding philosophy or a framework that anything and everything, because you are planning 8 hours of every child that comes to CS Academy, right from 8:30 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon. What are those guiding lights and the fundamentals that goes into you deciding that this is what is taking my students' time and this is not, and on what grounds?
One of the founding philosophies of the school was that the measure of whether we are providing good education and a good education program, there's only one measure of it, and that is the difference that we see in the progress of the child. You as a parent and we as an educator, and that's the only measure.
I think a lot of schools are doing, quantifying it in only the number of, like the kind of percentage they are getting. So I think you are just comparing what child, where was standing and now where they're standing.
Where their child, where they came in at, and how much they have moved forward in various aspects of skill development, etc. The holistic education part that we spoke about. And all programs that we put into the school have to be geared towards that outcome. So whenever, as you said, there are many providers who turn up saying, how about trying this, trying that, coding, this, that. Coding was a rage at some point. Every child should learn coding. And we ask ourselves the question, is this a fundamental skill? And we coined the term fundamental skill. And there are also fundamental habits. What that fundamental habits or skills means is that when you learn that, that will find application in multiple aspects of life. And therefore it's worth learning. And it also should be, and therefore it's broadly applicable. And we said, whenever we look at a program, we ask ourselves that question. So what is the kid going to learn from this? What outcomes are we expecting? And is that going to be a fundamental skill or not?
In life, in general.
In life in general, and the skill as such. For example, one of the fundamental habits is reading. You mentioned reading earlier. So we emphasize reading as something that every child should be
Absolutely.
reading and
Yes.
should be reading X number of books.
Yes.
And we know that by middle school, we want them to be reading non-fiction. We have a set of recommendations that we have. So all of that, the entire program of reading comes in. We have a reading cafe now.
Reading cafe.
This is a new thing.
Which grade onwards is it?
That's now from, I think it's starting from grade 1.
Oh, wow.
Just to inculcate the love of reading.
How
So,
nice.
so reading is a fundamental habit. So whenever we're putting any program and we are looking at it from that lens, and I give you the example of, we had this equestrian club who said, let's set up a horse riding club, and some parents were very excited about it. But we said no, and mainly because, no disrespect to people who like horses and horse riding, it's fantastic sport. But we didn't think it was a broad enough skill that would be applicable to a large proportion of our students.
That adults, they're not going to use
Right.
horse riding when they're going to grow.
Will they be using horse riding when they are when they're growing up? Probably not. And two, is it a sustainable sustainable sport? And for many, it is not. So you might learn it, but then how many people have access to that?
Right.
So we decided not to offer that. So that's an example of
Yes.
something that comes up. We put that through it, and we say, yeah, probably not. Coding was another one, which was we had immense pressure for so many parents who came and said, not just parents, providers, etc. I don't know if you remember this company called White Hat Junior.
Yeah, they were selling coding.
Everyone has to learn coding.
Yes, I remember.
And we looked at it and said, you know what? Coding is actually not a fundamental skill. Structured thinking is. Ability to manipulate data is. Ability to do math is. But not coding. And therefore we said, we will not offer that. And today people are, coding
Now
is useless.
AI is coding.
Why would anyone learn, and who has learned coding are jobless?
Yeah, that's what.
So that's an example of choosing skills that matter, and math matters, right? Ability to manipulate data matters, but so that we will do.
So you see things that are sustainable, that are going to actually help them in long run.
Yes.
And anything and everything that ticks that checkbox comes to your curriculum, comes to your
any program
table.
that comes up, we look at it through that lens, and then we think that that seems to make sense. This will add value. These are the outcomes that the kid will get, and it's going to teach them a skill that they can use again and again. And we say, that's a program which we can introduce.
So that's how every activity, that every proposal that comes to your table, that's
Pretty
how
much.
you scrutinize it and get to a decision.
Yes, yeah.
So like we're talking about coding and AI, you just mentioned that earlier, 5 years back, there was a lot of pressure that everybody should do coding, and now AI is just designing and developing website in under few minutes. And the future has become even more unpredictable. Of course, future is always uncertain, but when we were growing up, our parents, everybody had set aspirations. Either you could be a doctor or an engineer or chartered accountant. But now so many things, so many jobs that we have right now may not make any sense 15 years down the line.
Yeah.
And so many things we don't know might become like a new rage in like next decade. So we are preparing children. We are preparing children for the future. We have absolutely no idea how it's going to look like. How, as an educator and as a visionary, how are you tackling that? Of course, it's not one career specific like how it was in our times, that doctor, engineer, CA. No, it is no more career specific. It is, of course, being future ready, and future has we have no idea what future looks like. How are you doing that? How are we working in that direction?